Auburn obviously underachieved in 2024, but what is the projection for 2025? What should their record be? Well, before we get to 25, let's look back at the projections from the last 4 seasons. You can see in 2021, they were projected to go 7-5. They went 6-6. In 2022, projected to go 6-6. They went 5-7. In 23, projected to go 7-5. They went 6-6. And last season, projected to go 7-5. They went 5-7. So this team has underachieved the last 4 seasons. They have done worse than the projections all 4 years. And do keep in mind, these are not my personal predictions. This is simply a projection based off of the formula that we use. And, it's usually pretty accurate. And these games, or these records, at least 21, 22, and 23, were all within one game. They just underperformed by 1 game. Last year was by 2 games. Again, a very disappointing season, a lot of close losses. Could have easily gone 7-5. Could have very easily matched these projections. But, again, they have underachieved. And it's been 4 straight years now. This is a huge year for Auburn in 2025. Again, here is that schedule, and this is the scale that we use. So Auburn is a Tier 3 team. They were a Tier 4 team at the end of last year, but you look at all the pieces they've added. I did bump them up into Tier number 3, which is the same tier as like Oklahoma, for example. So the way this works, if they play another Tier 3 team, then that's going to be a 50-50 game. If they play a Tier 4 team, it's a 61 to 70% game. But if that game is on the road, then it becomes a 50-50 game. And that's the way our formula works. Again, no personal predictions here. There is no human element to this. This is simply based off of numbers and math and the formula that we created. So keep that in mind. We do have a few easy wins for them. Ball State, South Alabama, and Mercer. And these games will be counted as wins when we do the formula. So 3 wins for Auburn. These, should all be very easy wins. And then we go to games in the blue. You've got Kentucky. So Kentucky, a couple of tiers below Auburn, plus this game is at home. That's enough to put this one in the blue. Auburn did go on the road and beat Kentucky in Lexington last season. Again, that really doesn't have anything to do with this, but just something to point out. So you feel pretty good if you're an Auburn fan. Probably going to be double-digit favorites in this game, unless Kentucky turns out to be a lot better than expected or Auburn turns out to be a lot worse than expected. But that's 4 games that, you're looking at this schedule and you say they should be able to get those 4 wins. But then the rest of the schedule, there's going to be a lot of tough ones in there. So we go now to games where I think they're going to be a clear underdog. We've got Texas A&M on the road and we've got Georgia at home. Both of those games will be very tough. Georgia's a Tier 1 team, Texas A&M a Tier 2 team. But again, Texas A&M is on the road. That's why this one is in the same spot as Georgia. Again, those will be tough ones. I would say Auburn more than likely going to lose both of those games, but I guess you never know. They'll have a shot, especially with Georgia being at home. But those are going to be the 2 toughest games, in my opinion, on the schedule. If they win the rest of their games, though, they're sitting there at 10-2. They're in the college football playoff. So the path is there. I mean, there are, again, a lot of tough games here, but not a lot of games where you'd say Auburn has no chance. I mean, they're going to have a chance in really every game that they play. These games here, yeah, they're going to be underdogs, but probably only by about a touchdown. So this schedule does give Auburn a chance. And then you look at 50-50 games. That's the rest of the schedule: Baylor, Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, Vanderbilt, and Alabama. So if you look at Baylor, Oklahoma, and Missouri, those are also Tier 3 teams. Those teams are in the same tier as Auburn, so obviously those are 50-50 games. And then you've got Arkansas and Vanderbilt in a tier below Auburn, but the fact that those games are on the road, that makes both of those games 50-50 games. Then Alabama is in a tier above Auburn. They're a Tier 2 team, but that game is at home for Auburn, so that's going to give Auburn a real shot in that one. So yeah, 50-50 games. If I just had to go through here and say, who's going to be favorites, maybe it's only a field goal spread, but I'd say Baylor's probably a slight favorite. I guess Oklahoma at home probably a slight favorite. I think Auburn probably favored against Missouri, Arkansas, and Vanderbilt, but not by much. And then Alabama, I think, will be favored in that game. So, again, 3 out of the 6 games, 3 out of the 6 50-50 games, Auburn's going to be favored in. But they're going to have to win most of those games, if not all of them, if they're going to have a chance to really make a run. Again, given the fact that they've got Texas A&M and Georgia on the schedule as well. So, what's the projection for Auburn? Well, it's 7-5, so same projection as last year, which makes sense because it's a similar schedule. That would be a better season. I think Auburn fans would be somewhat happy with that. It's a step in the right direction. But still, again, I think with this schedule, you've got a real chance, real potential to do even better than that.